Okay, we've looked at steps 1 through 3. I'm going to skip 4 because that is always given to you. Let's go to step 5, calculating the test statistic. Now you've got two options. If we are looking at proportion, we'll be using this test statistic right here. And if we're looking at the mean, where sigma is unknown, and most of the time we don't know what sigma is, we'll be using a t-score. Now remember, the test statistic, that is a number that's going to help us in making a decision about H sub 0 or our null hypothesis. So we'll either do two things. We'll either fail to reject H sub 0, or we will reject H sub 0. And we'll figure this out more based on either the p-value method or the traditional method. But the test statistic will help us in making that decision as well. Okay? So the claim is that the proportion of peas with yellow pods is equal to 0.25. The sample statistics from one experiment include 550 peas with 143 of them having yellow pods. Find the value of the test statistic. Okay, well, it says proportion of peas. So since we're looking at a proportion, that means I'm going to be looking at a z-score. Okay, so p hat minus p divided by the square root of p times q divided by n. So that's the formula that I'm going to need to use. So z is equal to p hat minus p divided by the square root of p times q divided by n. So I need to figure out what is my p, what is my q, what's my p hat, what's my n. Before I do that, we're going to go ahead and work steps 1 through 5, and we'll skip 4. So step 1, we're going to write the original claim. So the claim is the proportion of p's, so p is equal to 0.25. So p is equal to 0.25. Step 2, we're going to find the opposite of that claim. Well, the opposite of equal is not equal, 0.25. Step 3 would be find your null and your alternative. Remember, your null is going to have the equal sign, so p is equal to 0.25. H sub 1 will never have the equal sign, so p is not equal to 0.25. Our original claim is p is equal to 0.25, which is the same thing as the null. So here's our original claim. Okay, we're going to skip step 4 because that's just saying what is alpha. We don't need that in this example. And then step 5 is calculate the test statistic, which is what we're doing right now, finding the z-score. Okay, so we need to figure out what is our p hat. And remember, p hat is equal to the success, what we're looking for, divided by the total. Well, we're looking for peas with yellow pods. And I've got 143 of them out of 550 peas. So this would be 143 over 550, which will come out to be 0.26. Okay, P, we have it right here, is equal to 0.25. To find Q, that is 1 minus P. So 1 minus 0.25, or the same thing as 0.75. And our N is 550. So we just need to plug all of those numbers back into our formula. So that would be 0.26 minus 0.25 divided by the square root of 0.25 times 0.75, all divided by 550. Now this should come out to be 0.54. That right there is your test statistic. Which this number right here is going to help us in determining what do we need to do with h sub 0. Do we reject or do we fail to reject it? Now on your calculator, if you're having problems getting this 0.54, what I would do, let me erase some of this. Okay. So I would open parentheses, 0.26 minus 0.25, close them. Okay, divide. Open the parentheses, hit the square root button. That will more than likely open another set of parentheses. And you would do 0.25 times 0.75, and then go ahead and do divide by 550, close parentheses for your square root, and then close parentheses for your entire denominator, and then hit enter. This should give you 0.54. Okay? The claim is that the proportion of adults who smoked a cigarette in the past week is less than 0.35, and the sample statistics include N is 1,261 subjects, with 467 saying that they smoked a cigarette in the past week. Find the value of the test statistic. Okay, so we are still looking for proportion. So I will still be finding a z-score. We're going to go through steps 1 through 5, skip 4. So step 1, find the claim. The claim is that the proportion of adults who smoked a cigarette in the past week is less than 0.35. Okay, so P is less than 0.35. Step 2, get the opposite of that, which would be greater than or equal to 0.35. Step 3, find your null and your alternative. Null will have the equal sign, so it's going to be P is greater than or equal to 0.35. And the alternative is the one that does not have the equal sign. Okay, our original claim is P is less than 0.35, which is the same thing as our alternative. So that's our claim right there. Okay, and then step 5, we're going to calculate the test statistic. Since we are looking at proportion, that means that we've got to use a z-score, the z-score formula here. Okay, so z is equal to, we've got p hat minus p divided by the square root of p times q divided by n. Okay, so I need to figure out what is p hat, which is x over n. X is the thing that we're looking for, and it says of adults who smoked a cigarette in the past week, 467 said that they smoked a cigarette in the past week. So 467 divided by the total, well, 1,261. Okay, that's going to give me, I'm going to divide those two, 0.37. Okay, P is equal to, well, this is 0.35, which means Q will be 1 minus P, or 1 minus 0.35, which that would be the same thing as 0.65. And N is the 1,261. Okay, so I'll come here and I plug everything in. So I've got 0.37 minus 0.35 divided by the square root of 0.35 times 0.65 divided by 1,261. Now this should give me 1.49. Okay, this right here, this is what we call your test statistic. Which again, this number is used to help us make a decision about what do we need to do with h sub 0. Do we fail to reject or do we reject it?